Welcome back to another video, and today we will be doing our legal advice. But I'm going to put a disclaimer in. I am not a lawyer by any means, and do not take any of my advice completely seriously, because I do not have a law degree. I have not done any of that. I will read some of the comments that do have law degrees, and if you feel the need to take some of their advice, then do so. But this is only for enjoyment purposes at this moment. So, besides that, I hope you guys enjoy. Let's get into it. Our first post is a neighbor blasting music every time a realtor shows our house to prevent us from finding a buyer. PA. Long story short, we moved our neighbors and said they were interested in buying our house as a rental investment. Townhouses, we share a wall. We offered them a friend's price and moved away during closing. Neighbors were good people. One working at the state capitol and the girl at a senior engineer. 5 months of delays, and it seems they're having issues securing financing. We've lost nearly $6,000 in mortgage payments and bills, and the place is now worth 10% more in a hot market. We decided to finally list with a realtor. Tons of interest right now for the start, but the neighbors blast heavy metal even at 8 a.m. every time there's a showing. It's deliberate, since it only starts when the agent opens the door loud enough to shake the walls. Needless to say, it freaks the hell out of the potential buyers, and to the points of complaints and sub-agents refuse to show it. So, I'm going to read this comment from Six Dragon. He says, I'm a lawyer. I'm not your lawyer, though. You should talk to a lawyer that is licensed in PA. The action you're likely looking for is tortious interference. This is when a party acts in a way to disrupt a business relationship and cause economic harm to you. I would call an attorney local to the location of your house and ask them if the neighbor's actions meet jurisdictional elements for this. If there's some jurisdictions, it might be tightly constructed as to apply only if there are any existing contract, but generally it requires a relationship between you and the third party. But this is where you need a local attorney to advise you. You'll need quote-unquote evidence. To start, I would have your realtor speak to the attorney. Also, I would have the attorney all the documents related to the unsuccessful sale. I would then have him send a nasty letter to start and go from there. Hope this helps. Good luck. That is great advice because I can't give any better. I didn't actually do too much research on that one in particular, but that is a very good idea because, well, it seems very highly illegal to do that. Well, not highly, but it seems illegal to do that. But, and he's saying it is, so I'm gonna believe him. Anyway, our next post is it is legal for a business. Is it legal for a business to ask you to stay without compensation? Without compensating the wait. My sister, 19 years old, works at a fast food restaurant. During her shift, there was a leak in the piping system, and they had to go shut down to get it fixed. Her manager said they had to wait for it to be fixed, and they couldn't go home. He wasn't allowing them to stay on the clock, though. I didn't find out until right now when I picked her up. I told her this sounds highly illegal, as she is waiting for a good 3 hours. She said he was told by corporate it was perfectly legal and they weren't going to compensate for those hours. Is there something she could do? They live in California. So I agree with this comment. I did do a tiny bit of research, and he says if her employer requires her to stay and and she wasn't free to go about her own business, then she's engaged to wait, and she should have been on the clock, which I very much agree with. And because, and I also think that you should file a wage claim, because it is illegal to hold someone, like, it's basically holding them hostage if you're not letting them do their freely, like, move freely. So I would probably file a wage complaint, or even take it further. But our next post is Narcissistic mother fraudulently changed my name. Mother fraudulently changed my birth surname to her new husband's surname, and neither one are my dad. This is a complicated story, and that has been bewildered by 2 attorneys. I'm looking for advice on how to sort this mess out. This happened in Utah. My mother was married to Mr. B and had my older sister. Then she had me. My birth certificate lists Mr. B as my father. They divorced, and I don't know if he took the place before or after me. My mom then married Mr. H and had my 2 younger sisters. When I started kindergarten, my mom changed my name and registered me as Miss H's to be like my sister. She also changed my older sister's name to Miss H. I went on throughout life as Miss H, and I do not remember a time where I was Miss B. I grew up in a Mormon church, and my name was listed as Miss B on the church records, not Miss H. I hated this. Everyone knew me as Miss H because that was what I was at school, and it was confusing to have everything say Miss B. When I pressed the church about it, they told me my name was never legally changed to Miss H, and they were unwilling to change them for the church records. I confronted my mom, who told me that when she registered me for school, she wrote Miss H on the paper. She showed me my birth certificate, but they only paid attention to the birth date to be sure I was 5 years old. This was back before the rule of identification weren't as stringent back in the day. From then on, I knew I was known as Miss H. To add even more confusion, when I was 12 years old, my mother told my oldest sister that we did not have the same father. My sister's father is Miss B, but my father is actually Mr. C. So now you take all the hurt in teasing me from being called 2 separate last names and add a different father into the mix. I was upset and feeling very, very rejected. When I was 16 years old, I got my driver's license with the name Miss H. I took my learner's permit, which had the name Miss H on it. It was issued by my high school. My birth certificate with the name Miss B, and my social security card, which said Miss H, to the DMV and got a license. I don't know how my mom was able to get my social security card changed to Miss H, if her own admission, my name change was never legally changed. I also suspect it was never legally changed because I'm not sure if it was embarrassing for my mom that my older sister and I had different last names on church records. If she could have changed that, I believe she would have done so in a heartbeat to save her face. I have been estranged from my mom for over 3 years, so asking her for additional information won't be happening. At 19 years old, I used my driver's license and got a marriage license. I then married my husband and took his last name. I was now Miss X. I have gone by that name for 30 years now. Since that time, Mr. X and I have moved states frequently. He's in the military, and with each move, I have needed a new driver's license. This has been insanely difficult because I cannot prove with legal documents how I went from Miss B to Miss H to Mr. X or Miss X. The last time I got a driver's license, I was able to get my passport instead of using my birth certificate. Since all documentation had the same last name, Mr. X, I was able to get a license. My passport has since expired, and we moved to a new state. I could not get a real license the other day at the DMV because, again, I cannot prove how I went from Miss B to Miss H to Miss X. I am now tired of this haunting me ever since I was 5 years old. I found my biological father at 21 years old about 10 years ago, and we did a DNA test. I wanted the peace of mind because my mother is a notorious liar, and I did not trust that he was even my father. She has been married 6 times, and that does not include the relationships with my biological father. There have been a lot of fathers in my life. The test showed that Mr. C is my biological father. I would like to correct my birth certificate to replace Mr. B's name with Mr. C's, however. I also need some type of documentation saying that my name never should have been Miss H, so that I can get my children's birth certificate and my marriage license updated to show that I should have actually been Miss C. I have contacted 2 separate attorneys about this in the last 4 weeks, and both times I have been told that they need to do some research, and they never call me back. My biological father suggested adult adoption, but I really don't want to go through that route. Plus, it would still be the same issue, but now trying to prove how I went from Miss C to Miss H to Miss X. I'm now trying to put all the fraud and lies of my mother behind me and set the record straight. I shouldn't need to be adopted by my very own father. Is it really that difficult to correct my birth certificate and have a court order showing that my name never should have been Miss H? Is this something I could do on my own, since I can't seem to get any attorneys interested? So this comment is a good comment that I agree with. Do you still have the passport with Miss X's name on it? If so, can you renew that passport? You won't need another ID to get a real ID if you have your passport with Miss X on it, at least. In my experience, the U.S. passport trumps all the other IDs. It has been long enough since you used to be Miss B or Miss H that you can likely use alternate records to show the name progression for the passport office, and they won't let you simply renew your passport with the now expired one. Having a birth certificate with Miss B and church records with Miss B, but school records with Miss H, you may need a high school diploma or transcription, possibly an old school ID, which showed that you used to have the name Miss H and being identified as Miss H before the marriage to become Mr. X. It may require a visit to the passport office if they simply won't renew your passport by mail. So I very much agree with that. It is going to be a tedious process, but there's going to be a lot of steps to it, I bet, because so you're going to have to get, well, I like his comment because it explains it somewhat well, and I don't really have much else to say, but I will add one thing. I do think that you should reconsider your option of going through adoptory, because it will make your life a little bit easier, I do think, because you have all those school records to prove that you were Miss H, and knowing that your biological father is Mr. C, then that you could prove that you went from Miss C to Miss H to Miss X. Anyway, our next post is won $45,000 in online gambling. Company locked my account. Hi. So I ended up getting extremely lucky on what seems like a well-known online casino. versus extremely no-name ones, based out of Karaku, and won $45,000 in blackjack. I attempted to withdraw the weekly max of $2,000 and emailed customer service to let them know of my attempt. No response after following up a few times. I then contacted their terms of service, which ostensibly, is based out of India and operates multiple online casinos. As they asked me what website I was using in addition to my username. She put me on hold for a couple minutes and let me know that I have a negative mark on my account and cannot withdraw money, which is obviously yes. After some back and forth, she hung up on me. I attempted to call back and they blocked my number. My online account is also blocked. I have screenshots of my $45,000 winnings at the blackjack table. I have screenshots of the withdrawal attempt and even a short video showing I took of my winnings. I understand that the casino industry is shady to the core. What would you guys recommend, and how should I deal with the situation? I'm ready to appoint a lawyer at this point, even located at the country's headquarters. And because this is a lot of money. Well, I think you should. I like this comment because it explains that it's going to be hard. Anyway, I have no idea what the laws in Kataraku, and I doubt anyone else does, which is true. It is going to be very difficult to pursue this because of the multinational nature of the events. It will be further complicated by your state laws, which might prohibit online gambling anyway. So I very much do agree with this. It's going to be very, very hard for you because it's overseas, and getting a lawyer to deal with your problems as overseas is going to be very hard because they've blocked all contact with you. You can't get into their communication lines. So as well as they can't be served in court because they're not U.S. citizens. They can't really be served in court because they're still in their home country. So there poses a problem, which I don't think you can solve. Anyway, thank you for watching. That has been r/legal advice. Tell me if y'all like it because I enjoyed that a lot actually. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed. Sub, comment, all that jazz. Go look at my podcast and hope y'all have a good day. Peace.